And coaches exist at all levels in the company, right? Unfortunately, at your more frontline ranks, they don't have that, right? Because you're working more on your technical skills, right? And then you eventually graduate to something that's more behavioral, right? And you have to talk to those people. And people don't like the word, hey, are you coaching me? You don't want to use that, right? But there are ways to coach people. One of the things I do is events like this. There's an excellent ERG event that you should come to, right? Just get some understanding and knowledge of and exposure to that. Some individuals just don't care and don't want to know, right? And you have to understand how to deal with the different personality types. But it will be a gradual, incremental approach to and I call it old school versus new school, all right? And understanding like people that want to do spreadsheets versus something that's artificial intelligence, right? And digital versus analog, just bringing all that together. It is something that I do spend a lot of time talking to people one-on-one, not in a group. You won't be successful trying to address that in a group, but showing that you care and then just talking to them and repeating it. I will tell you, one thing that does break down people's personal bias is a process, right? And you have to get used to that process and get them through that rhythm, because eventually they're going to say, this person's just not going to go away, right? And then ultimately, and I've had people do that to me, and actually I use them now as coaches, right? They're lower ranking than me, but you know what? They were excellent for my development, absolutely excellent for my development.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think, when you perceive or sense that there's these unconscious or maybe conscious perceptions that people have of you, I think it's important that you find at least one person that can give you objective feedback. So if you sense that, maybe they think you're not being strategic or whatever it is that you might suspect, ask someone that you really trust, like, hey, in this last meeting that I had, I presented it this way. What do you think of that? Is it kind of how you would have done it? If not, what's the best way to do that? Because I really want to improve on certain ways of how I'm navigating meetings, or how I'd like to be navigating and leading these kind of discussions. So, and get that feedback from a few trusted advisors. You may not have 10 people give you feedback, because you want feedback that's actually going to be useful, not just, oh, you're doing just fine, right? And that's not really helpful. So if you're getting that kind of stuff, that's not really real feedback. See if you can find someone who can be honest with you and give you that kind of thing. And if you can address that in some way. So for example, it could be as simple as, I've had people who have said, I've been told that I'm not strategic. Or I can talk about certain things, I'm good at my job, I'm not strategic. I said, well, can you, how do you present yourself, in a meeting? How do you talk about your projects? How do you engage around these discussions? It's like, why don't you think about throwing in some words in there that address how you are strategic? Because you need to kind of address that head on. Because if that's a fear that someone has, and you think you are being strategic, you have to give an example of that, okay? So, it could be as simple as, let's step back a little bit, and before we make these tactical decisions, let's think about what are we doing, and what's the end goal of what we're doing, and that, by saying that, you're being strategic, right? And so think about what kind of behaviors you need to demonstrate if people are saying some things about you about that. So, but also getting the feedback of others is important too. And if you can get it from someone not like you, right, not another African American woman, that's helpful too. Because like, hey, is there anything that I'm doing that I need to stop doing? Are there things that I should be doing that could be helpful? Okay, hope that helps.